3. X or Y, comma, or Z, okay? Just like 2, except for the comma has changed places. So now it's telling us, hey, the main logical operator is the second OR, okay? So I'm going to do this to make sure that this OR is the last operation formed, so it's X or Y or Z. Can I get rid of some parentheses? Yeah, X or Y or Z. Everybody understand that? And by the way, if you have more than enough parentheses, that's perfectly okay. This is a perfectly correct answer, and so is this. I'm always going to write it this way first, because when they get longer, sometimes if you're not putting in these extra parentheses, like, oh, I'm starting an OR, this is the main logical operator. If you forget to put the parentheses in, you might end up messing it up, and it won't be a well-formed formula. Does everybody understand that? I'd rather have more than enough parentheses than not enough. Okay? 4 is L, and I'll abbreviate it, if and only if M, if and only if N, so that's L, and N. Can we leave it like that? No, because that's logically ambiguous. So we have to either add this or we have to do this. One of those two. Okay, and then we're good. Okay, why are we allowed to do that? Because as it turns out, they mean the very same thing, no matter how we pair them. And we'll be able to see that for certain in the next chapter. 5. L is a, and it says necessary and sufficient condition for M, comma, if and only if, and. Okay, well this is a biconditional and that's a biconditional. Comma, if and only if, tells us that this is the main operator. So I'll do that to make sure that this is the main operator. L is a necessary and sufficient, so M, if and only if, N. We got that? So I'm looking for that punctuation mark to tell me which is the main operator. And is the necessary and sufficient condition for is a biconditional, and IFF stands for if and only if, which is a biconditional. Any questions about this? Okay. 6. Here's 6. A or B, comma, and C, semicolon, and D. Okay. Now, normally I've been telling you a logical operator paired with a comma, that's the main logical operator. But we've got another punctuation mark in here, and that's semicolon. And the question is, which one of those has priority? Okay? And the semicolon has priority over a comma, which means in this one, this is the main logical operator. Okay? So, and is the main logical operator. So everything to the right is one conjunct, D, and all of this stuff is a second conjunct. So I'm going to keep it together so it will be a conjunct. Okay? But within this conjunct, this is the main operator. And is the main operator. Everybody got that? Okay. I could reduce the parentheses to something like this. But writing it like this is perfectly okay. Okay? Okay, 7, A, and both. X or Y. Now, let me just do this, X and I'm gonna both X or Y. So now, if I just, never mind the word both for a second, A and X or Y, if I had that, that would be not a well-formed formula because we don't know whether the X should be with the and or the X should be with the Y. Does everybody understand that? But what both tells us is keep the following stuff together. That's what the both tells us. So we have A and parentheses X or Y. Okay? So that's how the both works. That was 7, right? Okay, 8. Both A and X, comma, or Y. Okay. So comma or tells me that that's the main operator. So it's going to be an or. So everything to the right is a disjunct, and everything to the left is a disjunct. All of this stuff is the first part of the or. Now let's do this both. It says keep this stuff together, A and X. There we are. We're done. I can get rid of some parentheses, A and X or Y. But if I'm being very careful, I'm going to write it this way so I make sure that I have all the parentheses I need. Everybody got that? 9. It is not the case that, so I'm just going to write not for that. It is not the case that, and then it says either X and Y or Z. Okay. So we have this new word in here, either. Okay, so let me tell you how to deal with that. And we don't have any punctuation to tell us what the main operator is, right? So not, and now either. Either tells me something. Either tells me I'm starting an or. Okay? So I'm going to put a parentheses down because I'm starting an or. But ors have 2 disjuncts, and the disjunct might be one single statement constant, or it might be a bunch of junk, right? So I'm going to put another parentheses up to keep all of the first disjunct of the or together. So until I hit the or, all of the following stuff is the first disjunct. So there's the or. So all of this stays together as the first disjunct. Close it, or now I'm starting another disjunct. It's just Z, so I can close it and then that. Okay? So this either, until I get to the or, all of that is the first disjunct. That's why it's grouped together. I could get rid of some parentheses. Okay, I could do that. This is acceptable. Now you might want to say, can't I get rid of this? Well, let's take a look. There's a huge difference between this one and that one, okay? Notice that this one is negating an or, not all of this stuff, and that stuff is an or. This is negating just this, and that's not the same. Does everybody understand this? So this is acceptable, this was going too far in terms of getting rid of parentheses. Okay? 10. Was that? Yeah, you don't mind? So I'm on 10. Okay, either. It is not the case that, I'm just going to write not, either not X and Y or Z. So either tells me I'm starting an or, and so until I get to the first or, I'm dealing with the first disjunct, so I gotta keep it all together. And then it says, let me look for the or, oh, it's to there. So all this stuff stays together, and it's not X and Y. And now I have the or, and I'm starting a disjunct, so Z, and I'm ending a disjunct, boom, there it is. Okay, can I reduce this? I could reduce this to that. Okay. Now one thing to notice, it says either not. This not applies to just the X. Okay. 11. Okay. Either, not. And so you should notice the differences between these. A lot of them are paired up to show you a contrast. And all I've done is like moved one word or something like that. The placement of one word. Either is not the case that both X and Y or Z. So there's no commas to tell me main operator. So either, and so until I get to an or, this is all the first disjunct, and I'm starting an or. So this is all the first disjunct. So let me keep it together as it's just not. This says keep it together, both X and Y. And now I reached the end of it. So or Z. Oh, I should have done that. But, okay, can I reduce this? Yes. That was 11.